there's enough and more data, Dr. Bagai. There's enough and more data that's available to a common man. Forget the amount of data that would be available to a government here, which is at the highest levels of power. Then Karan Verma, what according to you then explains this reluctance to give out data and this blatant contradiction to the health secretary's letter, which the latest one just came out 10 days ago, because it is impossible to pretend that there is no data exists. There is no data which is existing, yet the reply comes again and again in parliament, there's no data.
I think, Ritanshu, we are missing the forest for the trees here, and we are getting caught in the semantics. Nobody can deny, and they've not denied, that there is a link between air pollution and health hazards and eventual death. So when we get stressed on whether there is a direct link, there is an indirect link, it's one of the factors. So I think we are falling for that trap. Nobody can deny the severity of the problem, and this government for sure hasn't denied that, because they've made it their biggest political plank in the election here in Delhi, which is due in the next 2 months. So they can't be in denial of that. Of course, they know that pollution is a very serious issue, and it ranks right up there because it affects the common man, and never before have we been more engulfed by it. I'd rather bring my focus to solutions, because all the political parties, and I don't wear a political hat right now, I say this for all political parties, somewhere they're all guilty of ignoring and neglecting this issue at large. And we need to fix accountability. As citizens,
yes,
if we cannot
of course, but isn't step one acknowledgement? If on the floor of the house, the government doesn't acknowledge a direct connection between pollution and the number of deaths, then aren't we starting off itself on the wrong foot when we start looking for solutions?
I think again, you're getting caught in the semantics, whether it's a direct link, it's an indirect link. It's a direct link to maybe a pulmonary disease, as Dr. Bagai said, which caused death. So are we going to get caught into what caused it, what didn't cause it? Of course, it is a cause. Is it the main cause? I don't know. I mean, we may differ on that from case to case. But of course, it is a very, very serious health hazard that is eventually causing death. The government isn't in denial of that. Otherwise, why would it corner a political party in Delhi about it? Because it's saying that it's causing death. We are breathing this air. Of course, it affects our health. So, let's not get caught into this. And rather, I think we should focus our energy on the solutions. And there are very serious solutions which need to be discussed here, Ritanshu. And also, we need to discuss the complete apathy here. Today, right now, when we talk of Parali burning, let's understand this. We have an area of 17,900 square kilometers, which is 12 times the size of Delhi, that continues to burn for close to a month. Imagine this kind of fire burning, and we are sitting on it from so many years, year after year, discussing whether the cases have gone down by 10% or 15% and still not resolving it. When we have cedar machines where governments can cooperate to eradicate this from the root. I mean, what does it take? What can be more important than the air that we breathe? This is what needs to be addressed, and whichever political party is not cooperating in that, they should be held to account by the people. We get the government that we choose. People should make this an issue, and they should vote out a government that is not sincere about its efforts to combat pollution, because it affects each and every one of us. And it's true, there are deaths happening because of that. But then what do you say about a government that has done precious little about it, that says we'll spend more on ads but not on the RRTS project that has to be pulled up by the Supreme Court? So these are questions that need to be asked of various governments.
Yeah, fair point. I can get what you're saying, that at the end of the day, what is important is not data, but about what we see real action on the ground. And I'll go across to my other panelists on this as well. But let me bring in Vimlendu Jha on this point. Vimlendu, do you agree with Karan's view that it's ultimately a matter of semantics and one should not get into whether we have exact data or exact connection here? At the end of the day, pollution is something we can all see in front of us, and there needs to be action on the ground.
Absolutely disagree with what Karan said. Because this is not semantics, not agreeing and not accepting that there's actually death. It's not a health hazard that we're talking about. There is mortality that's been established already by the government itself. And here we're not even talking about a foreign researcher or someone else. And therefore, for Karan to really call this semantics is something, it's the wrong choice of word or wrong sense of politics that he has right now when it comes to an issue like this. We need to understand that, just because there's no death certificate doesn't state that death because of air pollution, we're not counting that. But the reality is that what Dr. Bagai said, that, if 1.5 million people are dying in our country because of air pollution, and this is not just, by the way, Delhi, as in indeed the government and the MCD and Delhi government, so on and so forth, need to be really reprimanded. But this is also a North India problem. As much as the blame goes to the local government, the problem is regional, and everyone is supposed to be held accountable. And accountability is not a semantics or asemantics or anti-semantics. It's about the fact that at floor of the house, India's parliament doesn't accept that people die because of air pollution is the most dishonest disservice to an issue which is perhaps post-independence or perhaps in the history of our country, the biggest public health challenge that India has been facing is air pollution. Like, look at what we were breathing just a week ago. We were breathing 1700 AQI or the readings in private air quality monitors were around 1700 to 1500, while the government monitors peaked out at 500. That doesn't mean that air quality index was actually 500. So government doesn't give us data of pollution, and irrespective. And today, of course, there's one political party at the center, and therefore they need to face the brunt of and take accountability and responsibility. They don't tell us what's the air pollution levels, because it peaks out at 500 and it reaches 1500, and therefore you know what you do at 500, which is GRAP 4, is what you do at 1500 as well. How many people actually are dying because of air pollution? There's no data. Of course, ICMR says that yes, 70 lakh people died. Of course, ICMR is also an Indian credible medical body. Lancet, of course, says that similar number that Lancet has been giving. Similarly, other research studies that have taken place that talks about how every third child in Delhi actually has a pulmonological disorder, or perhaps for that matter, everyone who lives in Delhi loses 10 to 12 years. So, we talk about mortality, and today's discussion is about mortality, as Dr. Bagai was talking about, that there's also morbidity and other issues. And unless and until you accept it, and that's why just to say that just because there was an announcement of an NCAP or a CAQM, and I'm saying this very, very responsibility, like this is, very little, very late, a sham and eyewash, a hogwash, because proportionate action needs to be taken. Imagine in a country like when there are so many people dying, as per government's own health department, which is responsible for death and health and life and so on and so forth. And then there we have Minister of State Environment saying that, we can't attribute it to that. It's very, very unfortunate. We need to call out the dishonesty of the government. And here, there's no two version. There's nothing called semantics in this.